Hello and welcome to Sovereign RPG. I am Sovereign and today we're going to be going over the dev news update that has just been released a few hours ago on the Reddit. There's quite a lot of information here. We're going to try and get through it as quickly as possible. Remember to like the video if you do enjoy my content. We will have more guides, more news updates, and more gameplay for Outriders and many other games in the future. So if you would like to sub, we are almost at the 7K. And now with that shameless plug out of the way, let's get into the update. The Outriders post-launch dev news update. They would like to thank everyone in the Outriders community for their patient support and assistance. There will be a community appreciation pack, which is eligible for players who played between March 31st and April 11th, so during the time of the launch, and any players outside of that window who have lost some inventory wipe stuff. They're talking about giving the highest leveled character a level appropriate legendary weapon and a level appropriate amount of titanium, and the emote frustration, which is otherwise unobtainable at this moment in time. They did go on to say that the irony here was not intentional, but it is fitting, and I would say that it is, and it is perfect for what has been happening over this launch weekend. So let's go over the patch news that we have so far. They've gone on to say that they continue to track and post known workarounds for encountered issues in the launch tracking mega thread, which is on the Outriders Reddit. But it is their intention, of course, that workarounds shouldn't be necessary. So the latest patch news comes up with the first patch. So for the PC and console platforms, once platforms have been updated to the same patch version, crossplay across platforms will be viable again. Crossplay has been giving us a lot of issues. It's also stopping a lot of people from being able to continue. There's been cases where it has actually kept the difficulty of a 3-man team in solo play for some players. They are having some overall stability improvements for the matchmaking service. The crash fixes will include fixing the multiplayer crash. There's a crash when you're completing a bad day side quest. There's a crash for no man's land when your language is set to Spanish. They're going to fix on launch crash issues. There's many more random crash fixes that will be happening. They'll be fixing the HUD disappearing. That's a good one. That's been happening quite a lot for me recently. And also seems to be something going on where all of my abilities are grayed out, so I can't see when the timer is, which is another annoying thing. There's a few other major bugs on there. All of the other bug fixes that you'll be able to see on the actual Reddit thread that I will put in the description and in the pinned comment at the top for you to have a look at yourself. So to talk about the inventory wipes and restoration, they are currently in the process of restoring, and they're going to be running a one-off mass restoration of everyone that has lost everything. The date is still to be decided, and they will update you when they have confirmation on the dates and timings, and they will only be able to restore the most valuable tiers of items lost, which is a little bit bad, but it's not as bad as just losing everything and them not being able to do anything. They will not be able to restore an inventory of full blue gear as it stands. So moving on to the rebalancing that will be coming up. The rebalancing work can be implemented through backend updates and does not require a patch and will be run during today's maintenance window. Balancing is done by a separate team to those who are working hard on preparing the patches. Rebalancing does not impact our progress towards patches or reduce our ability to resolve bugs. So some general balance notes. They got the Historian, Bounty Hunt and Monster Hunt quest no longer grant legendary items for each subsequent completion, so you cannot farm that legendary in easy mode anymore. There was a bit of a bug going on where you can do specific multiplayer bug where you can get an absolute crap load of legendaries out of it, and a lot of those people may be pushed into the cheaters function. They're going to be doing a reward adjustment on that. They've adjusted loot on specific enemies. The two could be split to Sand Shifter and Cold Claw, saying that those beasts are being too generous considering the required effort to take them down, so there will be a sort of less amount of gear that you'll be able to get out of that. Maybe you won't get legendaries anymore, and maybe you'll get less titanium. The Chem Plant has its expedition time for gold, silver, bronze adjusted to 650, 1150 and 1500 seconds consecutively, down from 957, 1303 and 1650. Boomtown has also had its time adjusted to 390, 589 and 776, down from 422, 607 and 792. Some expeditions they feel are too generous in the required completion times when compared to others. They want to avoid such discrepancies, as we believe making all expeditions viable leads to a more diverse and thus more interesting endgame. Critical rating damage multiplier on tactical assault rifle reduced to 165%. That's going to be my Technomancer getting a little bit of a nerf there. Critical rating damage multiplier on the marksman rifle reduced to 250%. It's only a 10% adjustment on the tactical assault rifle. It will still be viable, but there's a 50% decrease on the marksman rifle. They're doing this to allow for players more options to choose what gun they want to use. So they go on about bullet abilities, which is a big thing right now. It's pretty much the cookie cookie cutter stuff that's going on, allowing people to really push through that end game really quickly, really hard, and really fast. I couldn't see that the devs actually wanted the game to be done this easily. They've added the base cooldown of the twisted round skill has increased to 25 seconds instead of 16. The Trickster's Hero Tree Nodes, Disruptive Firepower, Sign of Power, Outrider, Executioner have had their power reduced to 35%, previously 50%. The Vulnerability Status power reduced to 15% of previously 25%. The Technomancer Hero Tree Node, damage against poison, has had its power reduced to 15% from 30%. And the Pyromancer Hero Tree Node, Trial of Ashes, has been reduced 15% extra damage, previously 30%. Now, while I do disagree with some of the nerfs, they should be buffing other areas rather than doing the nerfing cycle, but devs like to tend to go in a certain direction. They want to nerf things that are overpowered so they don't have to push things up. I do understand why they do this, but it should be pushed in a different direction. But hopefully now with some of these balance changes, there will be some change. I still think the bullet abilities and the bullet builds are still going to be number one. They're still going to be the top because they are that so far above the rest of the builds that dropping it a little bit will not help out whatsoever. They're still going to be number one in my opinion. They've also talked about the multiplayer stability and connection. They're continuing to work hard on improving that, and the launch connectivity post-mortem. There's all that information in the Reddit post that I will leave in the description and in the top comment for you to take a look at yourself. There's a lot of comments and there's a lot of hate and there's a lot of good stuff. People are actually appreciating some of the work that they're doing, but I do believe the nerfs that have happened to, say for instance, the void bullets, some of the changes like the nerfs that are seen as nerfs aren't really that bad. Adding time, the cooldown time for the twisted rounds is insignificant because you don't ever have to reload, so you won't have to bring up twisted rounds as much, so it's not really going to change all that much. I still think they're going to be number one. They're going to be the top, then that's just going to be it. They need to bring some of the lower running builds back up to the top. They need to bring them up rather than trying to bring the top ones down. And if they need to change the difficulty of the missions to make it a little bit harder for people to do, then that's what they need to do if they want to make it more balanced. Bringing it down. Let me know what you think down below, if you think that these nerfs are in any way helpful to the game, or if it's going to upset you because your favorite build is about to get flushed down a toilet, which it isn't, because it might look somewhat bad, but it's still going to be the same. They're still going to be number one. I'll leave the chapter list for each individual section that I'll be going over through today in the description and in the top comment, so make sure if you want to see specific details of the update, you can just jump to whatever you want to look at. There are more information I'm going to be giving in this video on the actual update on the Reddit post, so make sure to check that link out also in the pinned comment and in the description. And that's all we have for today. I hope you're still continuing to enjoy Outriders. Remember to like and sub if you haven't already. We will be continuing to doing more guides. I will give you all the news updates that will be coming out over the game from now on. We are almost at that 7K subs, so we need to hit that by the end of the week. That would be fantastic. I want you all to fly safe and avoid local chat scams.